The next piece here I'm going to get Lisa to come up and talk about was another one of the missions, right, that we said as a 21st century learning team. We want to get information and research. We want to get accurate data that is relevant to us. But we also want to go off and we want to see some other models that are near us. Seacove was at High Tech High as well when we were there. And we got some contacts to be able to network with them.
Thank you. So I also had the good fortune to go off and visit a school that's embraced 21st century learning. We were inspired by High Tech High. We had some 21st century contemporary educational research. We had some data. So we went off to visit a school that's a little bit closer to home, a BC model. So we went over to Seacove, which is in Deep Cove. It's a school of about 750. It's a grade 8 to 12 school. And it's in a neighborhood fairly similar to Dover's neighborhood. So we were very curious to see what is homegrown here in BC and what that might look like. Seacove took some action a couple of years ago based on the notion that engaged students who learn deeply report greater school satisfaction, and they also do very well at university. So with that, they set out to restructure what happened within their school between 8:30 and 3 o'clock. And they came up with something that they call their flight program. Their flight program is 2 years old now. They launched it at the grade 9 level. They have 55 grade 9 students involved and 25 grade 10 students. And based on the results of the first 2 years, next year they're moving it to the grade 8 program, and they're also having a small program at the grade 11 level as well. And it certainly was inspiring to see. The program uses inquiry, it uses project-based learning, and learning in the community. It's talking with the students there, it's real life. It was relevant, and it couldn't help but promote the curiosity and engagement of the students. So what it looks like day to day on the ground running in a BC school is every second day the students are involved in project-based learning. And every day in between that, it looks very much like a traditional high school. Those students are sitting in a math class, they've got some science lessons and things happening. For the projects, they're very much teacher developed and guided, but then the personal learning takes off with the students. They often have a real life, go out into the community component, and they bring that back into the schools. In the school itself, students are doing most of their learning on tablets, so they're really getting away from a paper-based program. And in this particular school, they have embraced the iPads. And every student, through various means, had access to a tablet of some sort for their learning. The students gather when they're working on their project days, they're gathered in what they call their learning commons, which is a restructured library. And they're also hanging out in a larger classroom that they have called, because it's their flight program, they've dubbed it the hangar. And that's where large groups of students are working on their projects under the guidance of the teachers. At Seacove, not only is the learning inspired, but they're also transforming a traditional school setting to find to do different things with their facility. They're looking at finding dynamic learning spaces, yet making it a very grounded place to learn. So from my experience in coming back, I'm certainly excited about future possibilities for Dover and just the energy of the team. Thanks.
Thank you, Lisa. That touched on some really important pieces here for me. Facilities for learning is one of the goal areas of our strategic plan. And what we've been doing here at Dover is we have also been taking a very close look at the facilities, not only for project-based learning and for 21st century learning, but to be able to try and offer more in terms of learning commons. So we've, and in terms of ideas of what we have in our upper D wing, some amazing things going on. We've had a couple of presentations in the past. We talked about our self-regulation room. We've talked about our learning common spaces. We have some ideas on how we want to be able to take some of the spaces within the school and turn them into the kinds of spaces that are necessary for project-based learning, for 21st century learning to be able to happen. And so that's a key piece. And I'm very proud of the fact that our team has brought back those ideas and we're implementing them as quickly as we can. The next place that we decided to go, first of all, High Tech High, Seacove. And the next place we decided to get information from was from the Energetic Learning Campus up in Fort St. John. And who better to talk about that than, okay, maybe not the person from Fort St. John, but Dave and Margaret.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. So we were very fortunate, one of our professional days at the end of February, to have a group of 4 teachers come down from Fort St. John, from North Peace Secondary, and talk about their Energetic Learning Campus. That's the name that they came up with for their model of project-based learning. And what it is, there's a few pictures up here, you can see what it looks like. They're very fortunate that I believe at the same time they were coming up with this idea, the town was also building a new recreation facility, and their school is located inside that facility. So they have access to a whole bunch of things, ice rinks and a track and all kinds of stuff. Anyways, so 4 teachers came down. And interesting, just on a side note, one of the teachers, not that didn't come down, but one of the teachers that's involved in this is a graduate of this school. There's, I think, 2 of the other teachers that have roots on the island, so there's a lot of connections between here and there. Their model is based on grade 10s. They have about half their grade 10 population, about 160 kids, as part of this group going through this model. And they've also expanded a little bit to have a few grade 11s. So they came down and they talked about how they got started, just as we are kind of going through that process right now as well. You know, how they got started, some of the things they look forward to. I believe they also went to High Tech High at some point, right? So they had, you know, much the same experience that we're having right now. Talked about some of the pitfalls, how, you know, how do you get the kids on board, how do you get the parents on board, how do you get the staff on board. Right, a lot of those kinds of things. And they led us through a bunch of activities about, you know, the collaboration and some of those kinds of things. And it was a very good day. And just personally, I didn't go to High Tech High. I didn't go to Sea Cove. I'm kind of a late addition to the group. This was the day that kind of got me sparked into wanting to be part of this. I have 2 kids. They're in grade 5 and grade 2. So they're in French immersion. But if I can, I'm going to try and convince them to come and be part of this if we're, you know, if that's where we end up going. I think we have a video as well. If we're
And in the video piece, it's a few students, thank you, a few North Peace students speaking about their experience as project-based learners, and some of the teachers that you'll see are the teachers that actually came down to work with us.
We get to use our brains and put forward what we would like, how we would like to learn, and not just have the teacher talk to you and not get to do anything exciting or new. And also the project-based learning is a lot different.
Okay, the project, and they take information from each core subject and throw it all into this project. So you really got to sit down and pay attention, which is really different than usually.
So you get to choose which activities you want to do. You can go outside and play soccer, football, whichever. You can go in the skating rink. You get hockey on the rinks down there, and you get the walking tracks.
Relationship with teachers now, because they're like, you know them and they know you, and it seems that it's a lot easier to learn here, and I really hope that I get.
It's great, and I actually wake up in the morning wanting to come to school.
Kind of this needs to change, and here was an opportunity to make it change. Some of it's just reframing. Like, you're not a little marks collector. We try to reframe it into you're a learner.
To get away from that old way of thinking is a pleasure. And the kids have adapted to it very quickly. Like, we collaborate as much as we can, more than I've ever done in any kind of staff.
Everyone in this building knows each other, and it really feels like a community, like we're starting to become a family.
Like, this is our grade 10 year, and hopefully it's a year to remember.
I'm glad they came up with this idea.
Okay, it is on YouTube.
This video is available on YouTube, and if you search the Energetic Learning Campus, it is there, and it's about 10 minutes long, and it's hard to get past the beautiful facility. But we don't have that beautiful facility, but it doesn't mean we can't do all the same things they do when it involves personalizing learning. And one of the things that would have come up here in a moment is the teachers talking about how it's transformed their job, just as Dan spoke to, that they won't go back to traditional schools after this. That's
They really, really love it, and they think it's the way every child should get to learn.
I would love to be able to visit that school.
It's beautiful.
And the thing that's really exciting about this journey so far is that it's just building a real sense of excitement amongst our staff. And more and more people like Dave and people that are coming on later on are getting really excited about it, because it's one little piece that just twigs it. I know that Scott said earlier when we were at High Tech, like, that's where I want my kids to go, right? I want my kids, and they said the same thing. We're all saying the same thing because we're getting excited about knowing what the end product looks like, but also what the kids feel like when they're there and what the staff feel like. We've had opportunities to be able to speak with so many incredibly inspired people who have gotten involved in this kind of programming, this kind of project-based learning or 21st century learning in schools later on in their careers, and it's completely taken them off in another direction. That's exciting. So here's a couple of the questions that they left us with, the North Peace people. Not sure if we want to move on to the next step or not. Maybe we'll just do that now. So here we are. One of the things that our 21st century learning leadership team established is data has to be accurate, has to be relevant, right? The other piece that they talked about is that we said is that we need a team that's willing to send people out to different schools and see these models, bring back information, a little bit of R&D. Let's bring some people in as well. Let's get as many examples as we can and fill our years so that we can have some, be informed. The other piece that we said is we have to build some models. We have to design the container. That's the thing. We have to be able to say, what is this school within a school model going to look like? How big, right? What's going to be in that container? So we thought about this for a long time. And what we kind of decided on, what we'll talk about at the end, is, well, I'm not sure if, maybe give you my next step. Let's see what that one says. Okay, and this kind of upset me actually a little bit, is that I was really excited, and I have always said that I'd like to be able to put the cart before the horse a little bit. And anyone who knows me coming in here recognizes that I'm absolutely putting the cart before the horse. But my feeling about that is that we should do more than just that. We should put the cart before the horse, and we should redesign the cart so that it doesn't need a horse, and then maybe just take care of the horse, right? I got a little bit frustrated myself, quite honestly, about the fact that we said we're not going fast enough, we need to do something quicker. But then, in the last meeting that we had of our team, we said, let's take some time to be able to really design what that container is going to look like. What is that model going to look like? Let's not go next February. Let's wait till the following September to be able to decide. So September 2014, so that we truly have a really good idea as to what this would look like. We'll have some projects built. We'll have more momentum, and we will not fail, and that we will in fact be sustainable. That's the key. And so when that happened, and when Robin actually left the room and walked away, things kind of turned a little bit different, and people decided, what would this look like, of this voice and choice idea? And one of the things that we came up with was an idea that I'll talk about at the end, which actually shaped the container. So we have this next year piece. We're talking about what will we do next. We need to be able to, kind of like if you're going to the moon, right? That's the big thing. We need to first of all get into orbit. We need to send some people out there to see whether or not they can actually walk around in space. We need to be able to have some people that are willing and brave enough to be able to put some ideas forward and pilot these ideas of project-based learning, maybe on a smaller scale, just to send back some more information to us so that we can look at that and say, how did this work? How will this work for a larger group? And we have a couple of teams that are quite brave and willing to put those ideas forward. And Dan is going to come up and talk about one of them, the Odyssey program.